Howdy, and welcome to this to be our 10th episode of the Clay and Woodrow Show. You're joining us here at the Trellis Carpenter Building on the 17th floor, and you're joining us in the Omar Oliver Studios. Woody today having a spot day, but more or less anything. Keep old Woody in your thoughts and prayers. Woody's got some little growth on his head that we're having checked out. So Woody not here today, and I will say, if you'll look right here, we have a proud sponsor. And Mr. Producer, first of all, let me welcome you into the show. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Mr. Producer's been, we would have normally we normally go and do this on Tuesday mornings. Mr. Producer's been a little puny, so we were not able to do it yesterday. And I was very hopeful that you were coming in today telling me that you had major surgery yesterday or something like that for us to miss a taping of the Clay and Woodrow Show. And I think he's got some basic sinus drainage or something like that. So I say this with love, but toughen up, Buttercup. But we do appreciate you being in here because I know you're not feeling particularly well. Interestingly, over here is our sponsor of the day. And this is a first for us, Mr. Producer. A sponsor contacted us.
Wow.
Wanting to sponsor our show. Now, they were a little bit vague about, paying us for sponsorship, but this is who contacted us. Miss Clara Grace Roundtree, who is the marketing director and director for strategic planning of Miles Odom Funeral Home, contacted us through our very own marketing director, Miss Neely Thomas. And they brokered a deal in which Miles Odom will sponsor today's show. And I was told just to send the invoice directly to, in care of, Jonathan Roundtree at Miles Odom Funeral Home. So,
that's great. And
it's huge news for this show that we actually have a sponsor that reached out to us. So this
what a
is
forward-thinking company to get out there and advertise on, and hey, this is where it's at.
I could not agree more. I mean, they're trying to get ahead of the curve, and they're trying to be they're thinking outside of the box, and I congratulate them on that and thank Miss Clara Grace for getting all that round up. Once again, you've already heard in from our producer today, Mr. Don King. If you need to reach our producer, you can reach him at Mr. Don King is at badhairday@ymail.com. You can reach out to producer Don King anytime that you would like. So once again, still getting the feedback. Here's some feedback that I'm getting is apparently I don't have a very diverse wardrobe in every one of our little things. It looks like that I'm wearing the same thing so people can't tell that it's a new episode. So maybe I'm going to do something like now. You know how you can take a little freeze frame of me?
Yeah.
And you do that. So here I'll have the freeze frame like this. And so then people say, well, that's a different episode because I haven't seen Clay Thomas look like a dork wearing sunglasses inside, so I'm going to click on for this. Other than the old famous turkey suit, people tell me that my wardrobe, is too similar. So going to help you out with that. Other feedback I'm getting, too, from the ladies is just condensing that college football as much as we possibly can. But they do understand also that the core of all humanity is college football, so we can't just – we just can't turn a blind eye to it. So with that being said, I would like to give the shout out of the day to one running back, Mr. James Cook. Mr. Producer, I'll have to tread kind of lightly here because people get very sensitive about this stuff. Mr. James Cook was arrested, I think, maybe 4 or 5 days ago. He was involved with some reindeer games in Athens, Georgia. But in some way, so let me say all the things before people start to weigh in of, they're just kids. They're learning. You made mistakes too. I get all that. All right. That's not what this is about. What I would like to say is that the young man checked off every single box of anything stereotypical that could happen to a young athlete, especially in Athens, Georgia. He didn't hit one or two. He didn't just hit like a trifecta. He knocked them all out of the park. So let me go over every type of box that he checked on this unfortunate evening. Number one, little marijuana involved.
Check.
Number two, alcohol was involved.
Check.
It should go noted most specifically that the alcohol was specifically listed as being Hennessy, which I think would also be I'm not real familiar with what Hennessy is, but I think fairly stereotypical of a young athlete in college. Maybe like a cheaper, I don't know what Hennessy is, but it wasn't a red wine from a good year, that had a good bouquet or something like that. Actually, I have no idea what I'm talking about. But so we got marijuana, we got alcohol, firearms were involved,
Check.
no driver's license.
Check.
The one that I love the most, which is most stereotypical, is the car technically belonged to no one because it was being borrowed by a dealer. It was a dealer car. And what I mean by that is a car dealership car, not the other kind of dealer car. And then probably the thing that I appreciate most is that in every story, the athlete is never alone. There's always another football player, but the football player who checked out to be perfectly innocent in all of this and was brought up on no charges, the article mentioned that he was not a starter.
Check.
Why is it always that the starter or the person that's pivotal to the football is the one with all the check marks, and the guy who's fourth string on special teams is the guy that walks away from the whole deal, perfectly innocent? So I, with tongue in cheek, I congratulate Mr. James Cook for checking off every potential checkbox that could ever occur with a student athlete going down in Athens, Georgia. He hit a home run there. The other thing is, as I'm constantly trying to improve college football, is I want to tweak my idea a little bit. We do need to go to an 18 playoff, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to get some TV viewership. It's going to be college football meets The Bachelor. What we're going to do is we are going to use some type of committee to seed the top 4 teams, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the other 4 teams are going to be there. And then on national TV, beginning with the number 1 team, they have to select who they would like to play out of 5, 6, 7, 8. Those are just randomly thrown out there. In other words, Clemson might have to very well say, Baylor, will you take this rose? And whether Baylor wants to take that rose or not. And the Baylor's like, oh, so you think that I'm the worst team out of these 4? And Clemson's like, obviously I do. I'm offering the rose. And so you on national TV, number 1 has to say who they would select, and then 1's eliminated, and then number 2 can choose from 3, and then 3 can choose from 2. And you have to select who you want to play out of that grouping, and those top 4 get to play in their home stadium. Now, people are going to say, but what about the bowl games? I think I've been over this ad nauseum, but nobody cares about the bowl games. Nobody. The Cheez-It Bowl, the Weed Eater Bowl, absolutely zero. The granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl. Nobody cares about that. Your pawpaw and your mama might care about the Rose Bowl, but nobody cares about bowl games anymore. I love Georgia. I only watch their bowl game. Probably half a dozen players that are their starters aren't even playing in the bowl game, so I could care less about bowl games. So I do like the college football meets the Bachelor type scenario. So that's going to kind of wrap. Oh, other than Mercer also did not select the head football coach that I told him to. So I'm sure that surprises everyone in the audience that Mercer's not listening to every word that's coming out of my mouth. I'm very disappointed for that. But although I'm disappointed, I'm not disappointed in who they selected. I don't know the guy. I'm going to be supportive of whoever Mercer supports. I don't have any ill will towards him. But those are the kind of things. Now, other feedback that we received, Mr. Producer, was in some ways because we are learning more and more, and this is kind of a little bit of a shame, but we are learning that more and more people are actually getting their news from social media. In other words, they're not doing the public broadcasting. They're not doing the AJC. They're not doing the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, CBS, Fox News. They're really getting more and more and more of their stuff they are getting from social media. So I think as being stewards of humanity, and I don't know if you know, but that's what we are. We're stewards of humanity.
I like to think of us that way.
Stewards of humanity. If people are getting their news from social media, and we're finding out that thousands of people are turning in to the Clay and Woodrow show, that we believe as being just benevolent protectors of what is right, that we're going to give some hard-hitting. So this segment's going to be called Hard-Hitting News. So I kind of gave you the assignment. We don't want to go overboard with this, but if you would just pick a topic that would be hard-hitting news that would be relevant to our community. And, for example, there's things going on now with impeachment. There's things going on with the Middle East. There's things going on with the Ukraine. There's things going on with North Korea. Kim Jong-un. I'm not real sure of his name, so if you just throw it all together real quickly, it works. Kim Jong-un. All of those kind of things that we can help people decipher what's going on. So I've asked you just to pick the article that you think that would resonate most with our audience, most with our community, that is hard-hitting news. What you got?
This is no doubt hard-hitting, and this could happen right here in our own backyard.
So something that we need to be aware of,
Absolutely.
cognizant of.
Absolutely.
It could sneak right up on us.
Over the weekend, we had a Wisconsin woman called police to report a wrong KFC chicken sandwich.
A wrong. So she ordered something.
She ordered a chicken sandwich.
Let's
from
bring this
KFC.
home for the audience, okay? It's our job to decipher these kind of things. She made an order, I'm assuming at the drive-through.
Correct.
She ordered X, but she got Y. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, at first glance, we're going to say that the woman it was kind of irrational in thinking. Not so fast. Okay, that's for Lee Corso. Not so fast, my friend. Having been a person who has suffered at drive-thrus before, in which I ordered grilled chicken wraps with just chicken and cheese. Mr. Producer, what do you think I mean by that? If I say I want a grilled chicken wrap with just chicken and cheese, what do you think I mean by that?
I would think just chicken and cheese.
Yes. Or perhaps they mean, I wonder if this guy wants about 25 ounces of ranch dressing on his chicken wrap. Apparently that's what they think I mean, because if I order a grilled chicken wrap, so this poor lady who had to call the police, I'm telling you, she might have been in her right mind, because much like myself, this is not a first-time offense at this KFC, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I think this is a repeat offender, because I have been there before in which I order my grilled chicken wrap, and I very cordially reiterate my desire for it to be plain with only chicken and cheese, grilled chicken. And so then to be very, very clear, I'm just saying, just so we're clear, just chicken and cheese, grilled chicken and cheese. And so when I get to the window, I of course have my Gator card in hand, but I just want to reiterate once again, I would just like, just grilled chicken and cheese? Yes, sir, grilled chicken and cheese. And she points to the little receipt that got it right here. And when I get that wrap, it weighs about another extra pound and a half than it's supposed to.
Oh,
And guess what that pound and a half is made up of?
ranch dressing.
Ranch dressing. Every single time. So this lady, what she's doing by calling the police is she's saying, I can either call the police or I can drive my vehicle through this drive-through window in order to make amends for the world. And so we don't need to be so quick to judge on these types of things. Sometimes police need to be involved. Now, I will say this. If any part of her order involved extra crispy chicken, she's out of line because it's nasty. Extra crispy chicken, nasty. She deserves an incorrect order if you go for the extra crispy.
They actually probably should have just hauled her in.
Yeah, if she ordered extra crispy, then there should be no questions asked because it is unedible, especially when you compare it to that mouth-watering original. Good night in the morning. That's good stuff. The original chicken at KFC, formerly known as Kentucky Fried Chicken, something to live for. Extra crispy, nasty, okay? So hard-hitting news, yes, but don't be so quick to judge the woman calling the police. That's how I'm unpeeling an onion is what I'm doing for the audience.
I see
Unpeeling
that.
an onion.
I see that.
Peeling back an onion. Yeah. So that's my we don't have enough information to know if she's wrong or right. Now, further news that we got from the feedback is once again, no one seems to enjoy me clamoring on about college football, but they did enjoy about the just kind of the, hey, let's talk about random stuff, you know, kind of get to know you kind of stuff. And so we found a little bit more questionnaire about that. And if you want to throw some more of those at me, I will be prepared.
Okay.
And audience, I don't know these ahead of time.
All right.
Well, I kind of do, but it makes it seem
Yeah, we
probably
don't-
it gets more production value as if I pretend that I don't know what the questions are.
Yes.
But you'll kind of see me every once in a while glancing down to a sheet of paper with notes, which gives away the fact that perhaps I do know the questions that are coming. Go ahead, Mr. Producer.
All right. What is your favorite movie?
I'm trying not to look at my notes. Oh, I do. Politically insensitive, and I'm sorry about that, America, but Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles.
Mel Brooks, that kind of humor, to me, is just it's top notch. Blazing Saddles, favorite movie. Now, Godfather Man too, but it's too cliche. If you say Godfather, everybody's like, yeah, that's everybody's favorite. But it's everybody's favorite for a reason, my man. It's good. It's good stuff.
And your favorite band?
So Dave Matthews Band is probably my favorite. Airborne Toxic Event, my favorite that no one's ever heard of. And then my third favorite band that I think if I continue to stalk them, they will at least acknowledge that I breathe air is Great Peacock. If there's some time, we got to hashtag that, or I don't know about how hashtags work. I truly do not. But not gray as in the color, but Great Peacock. They are small enough that they might actually appreciate me giving them a shout out. They might be too big for the britches, that they don't care about this shout out, but there's a small chance that tonight they are choosing to do a performance either for a bar mitzvah or a 15-year-old girl's birthday party. And they're still if they're still in that realm, which I don't think they are, I think they're getting big time now. But if they're still small time, they will acknowledge that I breathe air. Great Peacock. Look them up.
All right, we'll do. I'm assuming you went to college.
I did. Mercer University.
And
you know what they say, don't you?
what do they say?
Harvard. That's the Mercer of the North. Put that in memory, sir.
What was your most difficult college class?
Difficult college class was Chandler Pike's calculus class. So I had to work hard in that one and still received a B+. Chandler Pike's calculus. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Not difficult, but and I got to keep this G rated, all right? But where I got done wrong, Watson Mills had a New Testament class, and like every other person in the class, I thought if you made above a 90 that you would get an A. He tells us at the end of the class that he's only given out 3 A's in a class of like 36 people. And so I'm like, well, that would have been beneficial to know, although I still don't know how to gauge my grade because I'd have to know what everybody else in the class is making. And by the way, Kevin Brooks, a Ware County boy who's an orthopedic surgeon now over on the coast, was in that class. So there's 1 A gone right out because he's a genius. So I'm making good, strong, solid A's. I end up with a B+ because the man says I'm only giving out 3 A's. First of all, that's New Testament, and Jesus wouldn't do that.
No,
clearly.
Absolutely.
Jesus would not do that. He would frown upon that. And so to this day, I made a B+, but had well over a 90 in a class because a man did not put into his syllabus would be 1.
Yes.
Syllabi would be multiple.
That's correct.
As he passed out the syllabi to the class, included in my syllabus was not the information that he was going to screw me over. But he did. That kind of went PG right there for just a moment when I said screw me over. But he did. And so Rick Wilson, who's still a Mercer professor, and by the way, I'm not 100% certain if Watson Mills is still alive. And if he is, may he rest in peace. And I apologize for me ranting on like this. But if he is still alive, I got a bone to pick with you. Because that was unfair, it was uncalled for, and that's not what would Jesus do. So, Rick Wilson, if you could take that up with Watson Mills, I would appreciate it. Gar Crawford, if you run into him as well. And that could still be changed as far as I know. Mercer academically could change that grade to what I deserve to be an A.
And as they should. It's never too late for redemption.
It's never too late. Never too late. Kids, it's never too late.
All right. Mac or PC?
I could care less. I hate computers, don't like technology. My daughter is a Mac kind of nerd. She really appreciates the Mac, and the fact that I don't have a Mac at work drives her bonkers. But I could care less. I would love a Commodore 64. That's what I would like on my desk with a green screen. That's what I would like would be a Commodore 64. I'm not a fan of the computer or technology in general.
Well, and that's interesting that you bring that up. What about your phone? Are you iPhone or
Okay.
Android?
So I'm an iPhone, but I think only because when I worked at the hospital, they bought us phones, which I was very appreciative of. And I think they started us off with iPhones. And so that's all I've ever known. But if I did come back with some other product other than an Apple product, my daughter would no longer speak to me. She's big into the Apple products.
All right. Well, what was your first job?
Camp Reveille, camp counselor, Camp Reveille. So that was my first job working for the YMCA. So did that. Now I will say, got paid absolutely nothing, well under minimum wage. I don't know how labor laws were working back then. But I will tell you this, now that I'm bringing up things that I have hard feelings about of yesteryear, is I was also a lifeguard, a certified lifeguard, passed the test and everything. And here's the issue is they double dipped on me. I wasn't smart enough to know it at the time, but so they didn't have to pay a lifeguard, I doubled as the lifeguard and a camp counselor. So they didn't have to pay a lifeguard. And the other camp counselors were just walking around the pool, trying to find the pretty girl camp counselors and talk to them while I was actually trying to save lives out there. So they double dipped. I never got my lifeguard pay. And so Rusty Hall, I'm taking that up with you. You can War Eagle all you want, but you owe me some money. And so that goes back, let's see, 30 years. But I'm going back after my lifeguard money.
Well, that could be
at the nonprofit YMCA. I'm going after Rusty Hall.
Who knew that there was going to be so much pain unearthed?
I know it's kind of like therapy. Sit down. I might need to lay down to go through some of this.
Well, what about your dream job? What is your dream job?
So offensive coordinator I would not be competent enough to do something like at the University of Georgia. Well, I say that. Seeing the offensive coordinator we've had for the last year, I might very well be competent enough to do it. But I would tell you this. I got my answer. I would love to be offensive coordinator for Philip Jones. Philip Jones, my hero, my idol, my role model. Philip Jones, I want to be his OC. I want to draw up plays right in front of his feet on the ground in sand with bottle caps and sticks, and just I want to wow him. I don't know how much that pays. So dream job, that's a relative. I want to be offensive coordinator for Philip Jones if it pays just a god-awful amount of money. That's what I want. It's a lot of money to be Philip Jones's offensive coordinator.
Hey, that's pretty specific.
Pretty specific, yeah.
All right. And your favorite food?
You would kind of think with all of this right here that I'd have a quick answer for that. But I don't. So I will say this. My mom's a really good cook, but she does not cook this. But probably my favorite food is poppy seed chicken. Poppy seed chicken. That's my go-to. If I had to just have somebody cook something for me.
Well, that's quite exquisite taste you have there.
Yeah.
Poppy seed chicken.
Poppy seed chicken. I'm living on the edge.
They don't have that at KFC.
They do not. They do not have poppy seed chicken at KFC.
But after I'm sure once they see this, this could hit the menu.
Might touch the menu. They could take the extra crispy off and
crispy
put in the poppy seed chicken.
Seed. There you go. Favorite holiday?
Standard answer, but I really love Christmas. My brother's family comes in. We kind of, do the whole hangout thing. We spend a lot of time outside, which I really like. We'd go have a little down by. We have a little pond, and we have a fire down there. We stay outside a lot of the time. So now this Christmas, we're actually going to all go to Jacksonville to hear Jim Gaffigan in concert, the comedian. Mm-hmm. So that's something a little bit different. So now people are going to know when to break into my house. They're just going to look up Jim Gaffigan's schedule. But I have security and a Rottweiler that lives inside of my house. So, but yeah, so I love Christmas, really, really do.
Anything what's on your wish list for Christmas?
So that I'm not. I don't know that I have anything that I have a desire for this Christmas. Let me ask you this: what's the worst Christmas gift you've ever received? And be a man about it. I mean, it's going to be uncomfortable. Somebody's going to hear this. It's going to make Christmas a little awkward. But go ahead, be a man about it.
I've got it. I've got it. A half a pack of tube socks.
A half a pack of tube socks.
That is correct.
Obviously, from someone who cares deeply about you.
Very much so.
I'm assuming it would be in your best interest not to name this person specifically.
Yes, very much so.
Okay, all right. I can respect that. I mean, we got transparency on the show, but only to some degree. We still have to live and stuff like that.
That's correct.
Yeah. So let me tell you my worst gift ever, and I'm gonna give credit. My parents did a good job. They did like surprises, out of the box thinking. Now, one time we got Encyclopedia Britannicas which I don't even think that should count as a Christmas gift. No kids asking for that. Now, but one year I walked. We would meet in the main living room and then walk out to a little guest house, and that's where we'd have our Christmas. And I walk in and open the door, and right before my eyes is, one of the little basketball goals that's got the 3 tiny little basketballs, and you shoot in the goal over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
And see how many points that you can get, kind of a Chuck E. Cheese sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a Sam's Club, Chuck E. Cheese kind of get up. And so this was my gift. Now here's the problem. That sounds like a delightful gift for a young man, but I was shaving when I received this gift. And so then I look over at the box. And even on the box, it's like enjoyed by ages 7 to 12. And I'm about to go off to college, and I got a Chuck E. Cheese basketball goal thing. And I was like, well, maybe it's like a nephew's coming over later today to get that gift, but certainly that's not for me and my brother who is in college. But it was. And so we had this little Chuck E. Cheese basketball goal that my parents thought would just be the ideal gift for a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old. So that's the worst gift that I've ever received. But to their credit, they did a really good job. But what about favorite gift you've ever received?
It's always been something Star Wars related, and I did get a Darth Vader mask one year, and I thought that was pretty cool.
It's going to disappoint you to learn that I've never watched one episode of Star Wars, isn't it? This is why we're a good team.
We are like oil and water. Right? It's not.
It is, because you could not tell me the SEC West as opposed to the SEC East, and I've never seen one episode of Star. I can't say that. The first one's called Return of the Jedi.
No.
What's the first one called that came out?
A New Hope.
Oh no, when I was a little kid, it was called A New Hope.
Yeah.
So I can remember the guy that's like,
4.
oh, that's all I can remember. Who's that guy?
Chewbacca.
I can remember Chewbacca.
You do a mean Chewbacca.
Yeah, but other than I've never seen. I'm sure I've seen bits and pieces of it. And then there's the little copper guy that's 2PO23 or whatever. 2PO
C3PO.
C3PO. Yeah. So not a Star Wars guy, but that's why we work. We work well together. So like if I asked you, who's the new football coach at Ole Miss?
No idea.
But it's not. It's not
correct.
Chewbacca.
It's not Chewbacca.
It's Lane Kiffin, by the way, Lane Kiffin. But that's why we work well together. Any other things over there? Any other riveting questions?
That's all I've got.
Han Solo.
He
was Harrison Ford, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Well, Harrison
and
Ford.
You kind of look like you got a Han Solo jacket
Kinda looked
thing going on today.
But Harrison Ford was Han's Solo.
Yes.
So some of it is kind of coming back to me, and then Yoda. No, I'm thinking somebody else.
Jabba.
Jabba. I can remember that too. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I might have seen more than I've never seen E.T. either. We're
probably going to owe Disney some money
for
today.
Some royalty because I'm boosting their ratings. So let's go back as we do at the end of every show, and let's try to summarize some things that people would learn. Today is number one. Anyone that eats extra crispy chicken from KFC should have to move their citizenship to Canada. That's nasty stuff. Let me look back over my notes. We have also learned that there's a great chance that Great Peacock will be calling me tonight on my personal cell phone, 912-281-0951, to give me like backstage kind of passes to their next big concert or bar mitzvah, whatever they're doing. So we've learned that as well. We do think that there's room for 18 playoff, and we're working on that as well. We gave props to James Cook for knocking out every check mark of stereotypical arrest in Athens, Georgia. And last but not least, of our things that we would summarize and learn from today is that I could care less if you're a Mac or a PC guy and really do not know the difference. Is that a good summary of today's events? And that I've never seen Star Wars before, and you're not familiar with the SEC West. And we're still friends.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So you guys have an awesome day. Sorry we're a day late for this, but more than anything, have a very Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next Tuesday.